All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Robin Forsythe. I own Forsythe Law in McKinney, Texas. And this is my husband, Cory Forsythe, who doesn't know anything about estate planning. So we decided we'd have some beer and talk about random things about estate planning. So
today I'm going to get educated. But first, beer. So what did you give me here?
We got Boo Boo Berry Fluff from Ingenious Brewing Company. Somebody brought it by my office. So, and then
it looks like I'm drinking the stout chocula today. So it sounds stouty. Let's see how it goes.
Okay.
All right.
We love craft beer. We get craft beer all over the United States. So, I'm originally from New England, and they have so many good beers. So, we're gonna go wild with the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Fantastic.
This is actually really good.
This is stouty. It's pretty dark.
I was a little worried with the blueberry fluff thing, but
yeah, I might trade you here in a minute. We'll see how that goes.
Blueberry and marshmallows.
All right.
What's yours? Just chocolate?
It's it's like a milk stout. It's heavy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You should have started with the blueberry then.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a minute.
So today we're going to talk about what a trust is. So a lot of people think trusts are for super rich people, but quite honestly, anybody that owns a home or has significant assets should probably have a trust. We have a trust, in theory. And basically how it works is a trust is a giant box. And while you're alive, you can put all the stuff in the box. So the box is open and it has all these instructions written on the box about how you want your assets to be treated when you pass away, and rules about putting them in, taking them out, how it's going to work. And then when you die, the box closes and all your stuff is in the box. And then the box gets handed to whoever needs to facilitate the trust. They're called a trustee. You're the trustee during your lifetime, but when you die, it goes over to somebody else. And they open the box and they have all these instructions of how to deal with it. So
okay, so let's take that apart a little bit. So let's start with the trustee. How do I get one? Do I fill out a form? Is that you? Is it a bank? Where do I start?
So depending on your desires, you can have a bank be your trustee.
Okay.
When you're alive, you're the trustee. You can do whatever you want with the property.
Okay.
In the trust, whether it's 401ks, IRAs, bank accounts, all that stuff. But if you have a significant amount of money or you really, really want certain things to happen while after your death with your assets, like let's say one of your children has special needs, maybe you want a bank or a trustee, a corporate trustee to take care of that. But if you just, like Cory and I, we're younger and we have a small child, so what would you do in that situation? You just give it to the person as the trustee who will take care of our daughter after we pass away. Or if we pass away, God forbid, both of us in like a lightning strike. So the trustee at that point would be our cousin, and she just would take care of our daughter and use the property within the trust for her benefit. Our goal.
Okay.
So just whatever you want to happen, and if you have a trusted friend or a family member or a child that you want to take care of it, they can. Or you can have co-trustees as well.
I think y'all like your beer a little bit better. It's a little bit more up my alley there.
It's a little fruity.
Yeah, a little fruitier than the stout. So, we talked about putting the child in the box, putting custody in the box. Larry knows we both wanted to do that. So, aside from children, aside from thinking about, using a trust as a mechanism for custody, what other types of things can I put in the box? You mentioned property. Is there anything else?
If you have rental property, you can you can name the trust as a beneficiary for your life insurance, for your 401k. There's also other trusts you can create to hold your 401k, but that's a little more difficult to deal with, but that prevents some recent legislation from requiring you to take 5 years to drain the 401k after death. There's all sorts of stuff you can put in it, but the basic thing about a trust, a living trust is that you don't have to go to probate. And probate is a pain.
Okay, so I've heard probate quite a bit. I hang out at the law office. I hear the word. Can you give me like a 2-3 sentence version of, what is probate for dummies?
So probate is basically if you have a will or you don't have a will, you have to go through probate. Basically, you go to the court and you say, here's my stuff, here's who I want to take care of my stuff, let me do it. So they appoint an administrator. And whether or not it takes a quick amount of time depends on where you live in Texas. We recently got a probate for a will, which, many people believe should make it easier to pass on your assets in Dallas County. And it was in October. We got the case, we filed it, and we didn't get we don't have a hearing until April. It's like 6 months away from when we originally filed. So that's 6 months that someone can't do anything with her assets.
It's a long time to be in limbo. I get that.
Yeah.
So time's a consideration. If I want things to move quickly, a trust is certainly something I can use to be more expedient than a will or something that goes to probate. What are some other reasons I might choose a trust versus another mechanism? Like you mentioned wills.
Other than probate, privacy. Privacy is a big one. And simplicity, honestly. You can, whoever takes over for our trust at some point can just walk into the bank with our death certificates and say, hey, I'm the trustee, this is me here, this is proof of who I am, and they can take over everything at that point. So it's a lot quicker in that sense than having stuff signed over and changing deeds. Everything's already there and taken care of.
Oh, great. And
it can pass for legacy, like years and years. It can be a heritage trust, so it goes on from your line down, so like our grandchildren, great-grandchildren, etc.
Okay. So we talked a little bit about some of the advantages there of a trust and some of the things we can put in a trust. Are there any disadvantages? Are there things, for example, that I can't put in a trust that I need a different mechanism?
Is there anything you can't put in a trust? No. Technically, you can put anything in a trust if it's something you can attach a value to. So, like, if I have an expensive horse, I can put the horse in the trust. The horse can belong to the trust.
She has an expensive horse.
He's not that expensive. He's just cute. And then there's also, you could do, like, it's just whatever you have. You can even write, like, in your trust documents, you can have your attorney write in your trust documents, like, my horse is part of the trust if it doesn't have documentation or papers to go with it, like mine does not. He's just a boring old grade horse that happens to have a lot of spots, so which makes him very identifiable.
Okay, so it sounds like this is kind of a win-win. So I have this box, I can put things in it, I get to set all these rules. It works for me when I'm alive, when I'm dead, and I don't have to go through a court to do all of this. So why isn't everyone jumping on board? Are there any reasons people hesitate to go ahead and get a trust?
For a lot of people, they don't think they're wealthy enough. That's a big one. Or that it'll be super expensive. To be honest with you, probate in the state of Texas starts at around, for attorney's fees, $3,000. And and the court can and will require that you have an attorney to do probate because you need some guidance through the laws and what's allowed and how you move property. They won't usually let you do it on your own in most Texas courts. So that's $3,000 per person. So in a married couple, that's $6,000 we would have to spend in probate. Well, our daughter would have to spend in probate to probate both of us, because both of our names are on the house. We each have a half interest in the home, which means we have to probate both of our estates in order for the home to pass to somebody else.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's not something somebody can go do on their own. It's not like if you get pulled over and need a public defender for some reason or something like that.
No public defender. And quite honestly, $3,000 seems to be the going rate for a lot of people. Trusts can be fairly straightforward, and if they're fairly straightforward, I know we charge somewhere around $2,000 for a joint trust.
Okay, so definitely cheaper. So you say straightforward. What's an example of a situation that might not be so straightforward, that might introduce complexities to a trust?
If you have a business, a large business, which we'd have to set up some kind of buy-sell agreement with life insurance attached to it, just so that your family would have the money to buy out your interest in the business.
Okay.
Or if you have multiple properties, which some people do, because we have to transfer each property into the trust.
Okay.
And with multiple properties comes increased complexity. If you have rental property, sometimes we create LLCs to hold the rental property rather than the trust, but the trust is ultimately the beneficiary of that LLC.
Okay, great. So that's great. So say I get on board today, I fill out some documents. How do I actually get started with this? Do I just do it over the phone? Can I do it over Zoom?
We do Zoom. You can come into our office. You can talk to us over the phone. We can mail you everything you need to fill out, send it over. I'll create a flow chart of your entire plan, and then we talk about it. So you send me your documents. I create this flow chart of what I have gathered from your documents, and then we talk about it and make sure what I understand is how you want it to happen. That there's not some family complexities that you want. Maybe you don't like your daughter-in-law and you're afraid your daughter-in-law is going to take all of the money from your son, and you want to protect your son's interest in his separate property that he would come out of with his inheritance. So just how do we do that? That's a spendthrift clause, and you make sure that your son understands how the separate property works and how we do that, and how it keeps it safe from divorce as well. So there's tons of different things that you can do where a will can't do that. And we get will contests all the time. It's crazy.
So some of the things you mentioned there are pretty interesting. So children growing up, getting married, life changes, pretty regular stuff. What do we have to do to make sure our trust is keeping up with that? So if I set one up today, our daughter grows up, she gets married, maybe divorced, heaven forbid, but things change. Do I have to revisit this like every year? Is it automatic? What do I have to do to be responsible here?
So we check in with you every 1 to 3 years, depending on your situation. It's a good idea just to revisit it. Like we've seen wills from 1970. They're usually not valid anymore in some cases, and a lot of it's easily contestable because from 1970 until now, surely that person has had new people enter their lives, like grandchildren and great-grandchildren, that maybe they would have normally intended for somebody to be part of their inheritance. Maybe grandma always said I would get a ring, but if you don't indicate that, and you leave your will the way it is, it opens it to contests. So updating things, making sure people die, people change jobs, family dynamics change. There's lots of reasons to make sure you update it. And a lot of people get hung up on not starting because they're like, I want to get it perfect, so I don't have to do it ever again. And if I don't get it perfect, then I can't ever change it. And that's not true. Like I tell people all the time, it's okay. Like it doesn't have to be perfect. Just do it. And once you do it, you'll find comfort in that and realize, what I really would like? I would really like my granddaughter to have this necklace that she loves. So how do I do that? And we create that. We add that back into your trust.
Awesome. I think I have one last question. Suppose I have a will. You mentioned one from 1970, and I decide I want to go ahead and pull the trigger, get a trust, set things up with this different mechanism. Is my will then invalid? What do I do to make sure that my overall plans are really working with each other?
That's a great question. So the answer to that is that when you create a trust, you also create what's called a pour-over will. A pour-over will is basically just a will that pours all of your assets into the trust. Things that you can't really name, like your couch or your TV. I mean, you could, I guess.
I'm going to need some more pour over right here.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm going to drink all your beer.
Where'd mine go?
Oh, you want your
No, I want the
oh, you want the chocolate stout?
Yeah,
oh.
This is good. See, we started at the right place.
Yeah, all right.
So
pour over.
So pour over will. And you just basically make sure that anything that we missed, anything that got missed, goes into the pour over will, and it says your intent was for that item to be part of your trust. And when you do that, you don't really need to go to probate. In some cases you do, like if you really missed something, like missed a property, but the intent is always for it to go into your trust, and the instructions are very clear. So there's no worry about a contest or anything like that.
Okay, great. So we covered a lot here, I know. And, you probably have some questions after watching this. I know I'll probably think of some as soon as we stop recording. What do people do if they want to get some questions answered? Do you charge by the minute, by the hour? Attorneys tend to be expensive. How does that work?
So we only charge flat fees for our estate plans. The only thing we charge hourly for is tax resolution and will contests, will and trust contests. We don't get very many trust contests, but a lot of will contests and a lot of fights between family members. So we charge hourly for that. And if you just want to call us and like walk through whatever you're thinking about or why you're thinking about X, or you're like, I really want a will, it seems cheaper, it seems like the better option for me right now, maybe it is, you can call us and talk to us about it. We don't charge you for it. We'll sit on the phone with you for an hour and talk you through it. My paralegal Sean is fantastic. She loves to talk to everybody about it and show people the best way for them. And that's really important to us, is that ultimately you get what you need, not what I think you need. Everybody thinks they need the most expensive thing, right? But that's not always the case.
Great. And if I don't want to necessarily call or do Zoom, I want to talk with a person, where can I do that?
If you don't want to talk to us?
No, I mean, I want to talk to you, but I want to talk to you face to face, not over Zoom.
We're at El Dorado and Custer, right next to Hat Creek Burgers. We face Custer. You can come in anytime and talk to us. We have a little bell you have to ring, but that's only because nobody sits up front. But yeah, come in, talk to us. We don't mind. We're friendly. Or you can just call and set up an appointment. And yeah, we love having guests. We have a coffee machine that's legit. Cory will tell you he drank so much of it while he was at our office. Occasionally
you might see a couple of puppies running around, so that's a fun environment.
Yeah, we have corgis, so beware. They're furry.
Well, awesome. So I'll throw in there, if you do want to reach out, definitely hit up the website, ForsytheLawPLLC.com. There you'll find our contact information, mailing address, etc. There's also a button in the top right where you can schedule a free consultation that'll hook up to Robin's calendar and make sure that you get some time allocated for any questions that you might have. And again, we don't charge for that time, so feel free to use that. And we look forward to hearing from you.
Yeah, keep us in mind. And yeah, you never know. You might see a corgi at the office. He's a little crazy. So.
We're working on him.
Thanks, guys. Thanks. And this beer is fantastic, by the way. Thanks, Ingenious. We'll send you a shout out.
All right.